Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Waha, Recha, Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and the bishops and the elders of GMS, and salutations to the hopeful elect brother that are out there on the four corners of the globe pushing His truth and all truth and sincerity and strength of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. GMS Arkansas, this quick little lesson, man. I want to speak on, when you deal with people out here that think they know something, and you always hear this all the time when they be talking about fallen angels. Okay? And they'll equate that with some angels came down and had sex with humans, which in Matthew 23, the Lord speaks of that they cannot be given into marriage. If you read the scriptures, you'll know marriage is sex. That's the consummation of a marriage, is having sex. That bond right there, that union where a man goes into a woman, and they're one in that particular time, that's sex. That's that union, okay? And they speak. You hear people talking about fallen angels, man. Now, the real fallen angels are the Israelites. Okay. Now, back in the OT, they were known as Adamites. Okay. And they didn't fall out of heaven. They fell from the graces of heaven. They fell from their great estate, okay, that of having all knowledge and being that peculiar treasure of the Lord. Now, we're still that peculiar treasure, but the status we had, the condition we had. Let me show you. When you look up the word estate in the etymology, it says rank, standing, or condition. See, our condition was we were those people. The Most High had people on the earth. When you read in the book of Genesis, He created people, but out of those people, He chose two people to give His laws and His commandments to. That was Adam and his helpmate, Eve. And they were known, and their family was known as the Adamites. But through the process of time and disobedience, you will see how that particular disobedience led us to be falling from that rank and that standing and that condition that we had. We were over, being in that great estate, in that kingly state. It says position, condition. Our position was high status. See, status. You see that? Status is one of them. You go on down. Let me see if you see any other words with dealing with the state. Not really. But now you can see what that word, the etymology of that word. Okay. It breaks it down. Sta is the meaning to stand, to set down, to make, to be firm. E is coming from the difficult or unpleasant to pronounce. Emerge, the words from the beginning. Okay. So a state, when we fell from the state we had, we didn't fall out of heaven. How you gonna fall out of heaven them many miles and still be living? See, it don't make sense to us. So we fell from that status of that condition we had. When you go into, let's look up, let's go to the first book, second book, and the first book, the second chapter. Let's see here. This is second chapter. That's when the Lord's name came as Yahweh. The Lord caps the first time it appears. Prior to, it was just God, God, which were the Alahims, the angels. It says, and the Lord Yahweh power took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden and dressed it and to keep it. And the Lord Yahweh commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. You see that? So this is a commandment the Lord laid down to Adam. The knowledge of good and evil is the knowledge of what? He didn't tell him don't eat of the tree of what? Wickedness. You see what I'm saying? The Lord has basically taught us the knowledge of truth and the knowledge of wickedness. So he was telling them, don't eat of that tree, or don't eat of that wicked root. Don't even involve yourself. Okay. So when Adam did, because everybody knows that Adam transgressed, the Lord started breaking him down from that great estate he was in. Okay. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's see. Let me see if I could. Let's go to Genesis. Is it the 12th chapter? Or 10? Is it 12? Oh, 11 right here. If you could look at verse 11, it says, Shem lived and begot Arphaxad 500 years and begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad was 50 and he was 5 and 30 years and begot Salah. Arphaxad lived and begot Salah 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Salah was 30 years and he begot Eber. And Salah lived as he begot Eber 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 40 years and begot Peleg. And Eber lived, and after he begot Peleg, 430. You see the pattern. Okay. The men were older, and as they kept having babies, they didn't live as long as their forefathers. Even if you go all the way down to just 24, and Nahor lived 90 in 9 and 20 years and begot Terah. See, he lived 920, and Nahor lived and begot Terah 119 years and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. You see, so they didn't live; they kept living. The life expectancy of the man basically got shorter. Okay, Methuselah 969. Nobody is that old now. The perfect body was 1,000 years, which is one day of the Lord is 1,000 years. So that 1,000 years is a perfect body. Now, it went from, when you deal with Moses, it went from 120. It was around, he told, if you have 120, and then next thing you know, now, the life expectancy now, it went from like 120. Now the life expectancy is, let me show you what it said in scriptures. I think it's Psalms 90. It might be 90. It says Psalms 90 and 9. For all of our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are 3 score years. A score is 20. 3 score is 3 times 20 is what, 60. And 10 was 60 plus 10, 70. And if by reason of strength they be 4 score years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off and we fly away. So now our days are marked now in this particular time. Now, hey, if you live to be 70, you good. If you live to be 80, this is excellent, because by strength, you might have been taking care of yourself a little better. You know what I'm saying? Staying away from certain foods, eating certain foods, exercising. You know what I mean? It's like these bodies now, you got to keep moving. If you sit down on these bodies now, you ain't going to make it. Okay? You're not going to make it. So it went from being a perfect body 1,000 years in man's, it was 900. Noah and Adam and Methuselah and all them brothers was 900s. Then when they start having kids, it trickled down to 500, 600. Noah 600. This just kept going down and down to the point we at now. Shit, man, babies ain't even making it out of a woman's womb. That's the worst place for a baby to be, inside a woman's womb. But she might abort your ass. They ain't even making it into the world. So that shows you. Okay? That shows you, man. That transgression was something else, bro. That transgression was something else, man. It was heavy. You go to the 3rd chapter, Genesis 6, what it say? And when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to her eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her husband, and he did eat. Okay? So one thing you can see right here, he basically followed the weaker vessel, because a woman is known as a weaker vessel in the scriptures. Okay? And he followed after her. Okay? She that fruit, the Lord, was that wickedness. You had people back then, that serpent in the garden was a man that came with subtile. Whatever he told her or whatever happened, the spirit is telling us it's wicked. We don't know what particular act they did. We'll find that out in the kingdom. But people want you to show me what they did. I want to know. She fell for wickedness, whatever it was. We'll find out. That fruit was not no apple. The fruit was what the fruit was. I think it's I want to say Hosea. It might be Hosea. It might be 10 and 13, is it? Hosea 10 and 13, ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity, ye have eaten the fruit of lies, because thou didst trust in thy way, in the multitude of thy mighty men. See, you trusted in your own way. Okay? You ate the fruit of lies, man. That's what happened back in the garden. The weaker vessel ate of the fruit of lies. And it says, in their eyes, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. They knew that they had broke the laws. They knew that they had went off. They knew it as soon as it happened. It says, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Okay? This they basically they were mingling among the nations and the things that they were learning from them. You see what I'm saying? The Lord has given us certain laws, statutes, commandments to go by. The other nations are not a part of this. Even tell you in Leviticus that they're not a part of it. So if you start following after these other nations ways, then you're going to be going off of the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And that's what happened in that garden. Okay, following after the other nations, man. And it says, and they heard the voice of the Lord Yahweh, power walking in the garden in the cool of the day. Right? In the cool of the day. Why? Why they walk? Because they had sinned. You see what I'm saying? And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. Boom. Now, if the Lord looking for you in a garden, how you gonna hide amongst a tree like that? Hey, run over here. No, those trees represented the people. They hid amongst the people. Okay? The trees represent people, man. Let me show you. The trees represented the people. Mark 8:24. I'm going to start at 23. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, he put his hands upon him and asked him, if thou see aught. He looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. Boom, there it is. So trees represent people. He said, I see men as trees walking. So can a tree walk? No. Can a man walk? Yes. He saw men of a certain stature. They must have been tall men. Okay, because trees are tall. He said, I see men as trees walking. Okay, there it is. All right. So back here, when it says they hid themselves amongst the trees in the garden, it's talking about they hid themselves amongst the people. Okay. And the Lord Yahweh called up to Adam. Okay. And said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. See, because I had sinned and I hid myself. See, that's why he said I was naked. Not that his rod is out. You know what I mean? Walk around and look, because it just said like they put aprons on. So if they put aprons on, that means they ain't like naked like a baby. So why would he be scared? No, that ain't it. He was scared because he had sinned. That naked represented they had sinned. Okay? That's what they represented. Matter of fact, let me look it up and see if it says it. It'll give you a more clear nakedness. Yeah, it just give you that, the common definition, but we know what it to be. Okay, we know what it is, sin. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, he don't want to give us the real definition. That's cool. And helpless. If you sin, you know you helpless. Okay. Let's see here. Boom, boom, barrenness, negative person. Nope. So, verse 10, it says, and he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself because he had sinned. And he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Who told you you had sin? Who told you you had shame? Hast thou eaten of that tree wherein I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? See, that you go dib and dab in that wickedness. That I told you don't eat of that tree. The tree represented people. So don't go deal with the other nations. I told you don't deal with them because they wasn't given the law of the Heavenly Father. They wasn't given the commandments you was given. Don't go over there and deal with them people. He straight up told them, don't deal with them. Okay? But they went over there and dealt with them other nations. He went over there and did it anyway. They did it anyway. And it says, and the man said, the woman whom thou gavest me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. She gave me of that knowledge that she had learned from the wickedness of those other nations, and brought it to Adam. You see that? It says, I'm going to skip to 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, it has eaten of the tree in which I command thee, saying thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shall thou eat of all the days of thy life. See, and Jake and them today are following, they are listening to their wives today, and shit going wrong. They don't know why. They ain't taking control. They study listening to their old ladies, man. You know? Oh, man. Because, look, he said, you're going to have to, he said, the ground for that sake, cursed be the ground. Because, you know, back then, we didn't even have to till the ground. Things grew. All you did was, like, they were just tending to it. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, if you plant something and you put mulch around it, if you tend to the mulch, you keep the mulch around, the mulch will keep the ground moist. And once it waters, it keeps that ground moist so that plant can grow. Now they got to till the ground. Now you got to tear the ground up. The ground hard. You got to break it up. It's back breaking work. When all they had to do was just rake the mulch and push the mulch up against plants. It's different. Okay? You know, because the ground basically got the dew come out of the ground every morning, and it waters the ground. You see what I'm saying? So now you got to get the ground right. You got to water it, you know. So it was a curse from them being from their natural state of having that dew do the work for them and water. Now you got to carry buckets of water to water your plants and all that. So the great estate of the earth was cursed, and basically right here it was brought low. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat of the herb of the field. You see what I'm saying? He was telling them, thorns and thistles going to be brought to thee. Meaning you going to start getting sick. That's why Jake be getting sick all the time. We weren't supposed to get sick. You see what I'm saying? And you're going to have to, he said you got to eat the herbs. You're going to have to eat the herbs to heal yourself. So if you out there and you sick and you ain't eat herbs, you ain't going to heal right no way. The herbs, he said, these herbs are for you. That's why we try to eat herbs now to help fight these sicknesses. That's why we knocking ginger down. We knocking garlic. We knocking rosemary, thyme. We knocking those different herbs down. Basil. You know what I mean? Milk thistle. Try to take all them kind of herbs to help our bodies, man. Because our bodies are not in that greater state no more. These bodies are subject to the flesh, which is sin. And we got to do all we can to not get sick. Okay? 19. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou return unto the ground, till you die. For out of it wasn't thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shall thou return. So you was made from the dust. And the dust you're going to return. You see that? So it wasn't supposed to be this way. But Adam, he sinned. So This is what took place, man. He started to die basically as a mortal man. Okay? He started to die as a mortal man, man. All right? You know, so let's go New Testament. And I hope this is edifying, man. Romans 5 and 12. And it says, wherefore, as by one man's sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men. See, by this sin, we all died mortal. You know, he died as a mortal man. For that all have sinned. See that? For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. So where there ain't no law, there ain't no sin. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression. So we are basically, now we are suffering from that act way back then. Who is the figure of him that was to come? Okay? So from that point on, we started falling from that great estate. This is the so talking the fallen angel. We will fail from that great estate we had. Okay? And now we are more frail physically and spiritually than what we used to be. Okay? We more frail. Okay? Strength, man, not only is it spiritual and physical, you know, we fail because we're not close to the Most High. When you get close to the Most High, he help you out spiritually. And when he helps you out spiritually and you follow his law, statutes, commandments, and know what he's saying, even like when he said, hey, the herbs, if you following the Lord, then guess what? You'll start doing herb, and that gets you closer to the Lord, and that will get your strength up physically, where you can maintain spiritually. Man, it all connects with each other. You know, it's a lot more on this, man. I'm gonna stop right here, and I hope this was edifying to the election of Israel. I will give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Waharakah, Kodash, and double honor to the apostles and elders and the bishops of GMS who rule well and teach well. Salutation to the whole elect. Lord willing, I could keep going on this. Just strapped for time right now. And man, hope it was edifying to the election of Israel, brother. Lord willing, I could keep going, do part 2, maybe. Shalom.